Hello, Mole and Lurkers, and hey, Rage and Pseudo. We're back.
We did it. Hello. We made it.
I'm live.
We're here.
It happened. And I might survive it.
Perhaps. If we all get
steroid
very lucky.
shaker has been doing me well so far. Hoping I survive. So, we start with news? There's a little bit of news. There's a little bit. There's a new game that I remember posting about. I don't remember what. Oh yes, Jedi Survivor. That's the one. We've been saying for a while. Oh my! Thank you for the resub. Why? Oh, my bot's dead. Dead. That's what happens when you don't stream for too long. You forget to start the bot. But thank you, Mole. Thank you for the resub. Much appreciated. Log that shit in. All right. So we were saying for a while that there's a sequel coming to Fallen Order because we looked at the job postings and they were hiring people for a new Fallen Order game. It's the only explanation for those openings. And now, finally announced, Jedi Survivor. Experience the next chapter of Cal Kestis' journey in this third-person narrative-driven, action-adventure game. You note they don't say Souls-like. They don't call it a Souls-like. Yeah.
It has some Soulsy, Sekiro elements.
Sekiro, yeah. Much more in line with that. And I'm glad that the streamers that I enjoy all agree with me that Sekiro isn't a Souls-like.
Why lead?
Yeah, people who go into Sekiro expecting it to be anything like a Souls game, gonna have a bad time.
Well, I've heard people that have finished Sekiro still argue that it's a Souls-like.
Why?
Because it feels like Souls, and that's the only thing they can say.
Yeah, except
yeah, that's what happens when you ask for the opinion from someone who has no idea what they're talking about.
What is your next move?
It's strictly an opinion. We like to speak more from the world of fact. The fact is, it's not the same.
There are very little similarities other than the checkpoint and system.
Yeah. One person argued, well, you lose all your experience when you die. One, no you don't. Two, you don't have experience. We got hype for that. Big hype. Come in 2023. Respawn Entertainment. Anytime we see Respawn, we all get happy. And
Respawn makes generally good games.
Yep. And Leggy's in it still. So 2 thumbs up.
They're making a Lego of him.
Really?
Mm-hmm. A leggy Lego?
I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that too. I love me some Lego. And what else did we have? We'll
have
ignore the
another
bad news.
Another implementation of FSR2, which is very exciting. It's still more or less the same as DLSS 2.3.
Yep. Catching up.
If it's getting to the point where you need a magnifying glass to really see if there's a difference, then it's good enough.
Yeah.
It's good enough for the performance game. You'll notice the frames more than you'll notice all the other stuff.
Yep.
Especially since, a lot of people have, monitor tearing issues and a lot of other issues that they don't already notice. So it's probably going to be good for the majority of people who want or need to use it.
That's
the
fair.
big thing with FSR is it's got that thin line locking that DLSS doesn't have, so it should have less problems dealing with things like scope reticles, which is a big problem that Tarkov is having right now with their DLSS implementation, is that as soon as you zoom in on a scope, it looks terrible.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Tarkov, their scopes are already kind of terrible before DLSS, so there wasn't much for it to work on, and it just started going downhill.
I mean, Tarkov does a lot right, but they do a lot wrong.
They do a lot, and it's a lot, but they've just done a lot. It's kind of how it
they
boils
have done
down
a
to.
lot. I agree. It's pretty damn good.
It's a beautifully designed game, implemented very poorly.
Yeah,
is what it is.
Yeah. In the deals news, Sniper Elite 5 came out on Game Pass, so go play that because you have absolutely no reason not to.
It's not. a Sniper Elite game. It's not a sniper game. Just
And
FYI.
Well, no, it's
That's
a
been
Sniper Elite game. It's just not a sniper
Yeah.
game. The Sniper Elite
Yeah,
games have never been about sitting there and sniping. They're open
Except for-
world where you find points to snipe from and shoot a few shots off and then get the fuck out of there.
It was in 2. That was the last one that I played.
I would say, like, since 1 and 2 were the only ones that were really, like, kind of sniper, they got a lot more arcade since then. It's mostly just been kind of straight path. Or 3 was more of like you're going through a path, doing objectives. 4 was also really kind of objective based. You would kind of do like minimal sniping, but they added some fun stuff in where you can like, it was a little bit like Hitman, where there's a lot of environmental stuff that you can do. It kind of becomes
5
more of like
is very
problem
much
solving.
Hitman.
Yeah, it's just arcadey sniper Hitman, where it's like you're in a world that you can kind of solve this problem in a multitude of different ways. And yeah, there's not really too much sniping anymore. Mostly because like the sniper games, like the actual genre for that stuff is not really too much action packed. You are sitting there for quite a while, and I think a lot of people who want to do like Sniper Simulator will just pick up like Arma and stuff like that.
Or
Yeah.
the other one, Sniper Ghost Warrior.
Ghost Warrior is pretty arcade as well nowadays, but at least it's less
pretty
arcade
arcadey,
than
but it's
Arma. where you're
more
not-
sniping.
At least you're actually sniping most of it, because a lot of it now is just like silenced pistol sneaking us around.
And
We also
Bio-
got the that's even better news. Let's go with that news. Go Deus.
BioShock Collection available right now on
Yeah.
on Epic Games. So
Go get it. They're
no
good
reason
games.
not to get BioShock Collection for free. It's only the remastered ones, which have some issues, but the price is right, and they're
Yeah,
great
for
games.
$0, we take that.
Yeah. Yep. New
The other piece of
Risk
news
of Rain
that I
patch.
was going to bring up is the AMD announcement at Computex. AM5 is official. It is coming this fall, and their 16-core part clocks up over 5.5 gigahertz.
Yeah, that's nutty. That was really nutty watching that demo. I'm like, oh, that thing going. That thing is going.
Honestly, it sold me on the 20 lanes of USB connection, because I have so many fucking USB devices. So if there needs to be less controllers, or if there is the ability to have more controllers and less split USB ports in the back of my motherboard, I am a happy camper. So I was seriously contemplating upgrading anyway. And then they saw the 5.5 gigahertz number, and I just kind of went, I need it. And then my reality brain kicked back in, and I went, wait, there's going to be 3D V-Cache parts. Wait for those.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking to get another computer because my server's starting to be not so happy anymore. It's a little long in the tooth. Just a little.
That's the beauty. You just get a new computer and then you just supervise the
Yep.
current one, which I've
Yep.
done with the last two. And I'm like, this main desktop will last me a while. And I'm like, maybe.
The main desktop will last a long time, but the server's dead, so time to get a new desktop.
Exactly.
That is precisely how that goes.
I have taught you the way. All right. I don't hear any more news, really. I don't see any more news anywhere that's interesting. We're at review phase, guys.
Yeah.
Like the majority of the work is actually done here. We just have to look through and make sure that we're sane, and then I can plan a little campaign.
Yeah.
And we can
Then
test
do
it.
some testing.
And we can actually
we,
play some games.
Yeah, I wonder what we want to use anything to play that in, because there's a lot of kind of open tabletop software that we can use to kind of make it a bit more of a cleaner experience. For one
This
to
is
as well.
true.
Yeah.
This is
So
true.
I think Foundry is a lot of them just allow for any kind of homebrew rule systems and stuff too. You just gotta put them in there, and beat even something like Tabletop Simulator. But Tabletop Simulator is a bit involved.
Yeah.
Having to make a project in it was a bit of a pain. But something that just runs on a web browser that we could join, because then it might be nice to be able to get some other non-panel members to start playtesting it as well after.
Yeah,
And that way, you just give them a link.
if we can set something up like that, that'd be great. For the very first session, we may just want to stick to a pen and paper and thought process, just for the rapid iteration ability of it. Because as soon as we start playing, it's going to be, oh, this needs to change. Oh, that needs to change. And if we've already set up everything in a system, then it's work to change it. Less work than setting it up, though. We'll see. We'll see. So I've got everything open here. It starts at rules. Maintenance system?
Yeah,
No.
we were thinking about having a maintenance system for like more hardcore stuff, but that will come in an add-on if we end up doing an add-on for hardcore settings.
No, maybe later. Design problems. We have kept to this. 5% crit fail chance is gone. The too many systems and too much math and dice in Shadowrun is gone. The too many rules of Shadowrun problem is gone. There is reward for high skill ranks. I think we all want to get some 5s in skills and play with them, so that's nice. Reduce punishment at high skill ranks, done. It's much harder to fail. Prioritize party balance rather than individual character balance. We haven't even thought of balance. We have tried to keep the characters somewhat in balance so that everybody doesn't want to just play one. They definitely do other things better than others, but there's no class either, so you can basically do whatever you want.
Yeah, I think inherently a classless system is breakable, but at the same time that's fun. So
breaking is fun.
Sweet.
And in a pen and paper world, you're never so broken that you can't lose. The GM can always make a more broken character. Well, he can always just make a more broken enemy for you too. Like, characters can't have more than 5.
Yourself.
Yeah, or characters can't have more than 5 strength, and you're a strength-based character, and he wants to give you a challenge of your strength. Something from another dimension has 8 strength. Have fun.
Yeah, need your whole party to kill that thing.
We stole the WAD magic system. I mean, we modified it heavily to make it work, right? But yeah. Inspired by. Stuff. There you go. Only stuff found around the house, and we only used a D6.
Yeah, we only used the D6. We still have the design space for using cards, though we haven't actually done anything with them yet.
Yeah, we didn't want to shoehorn cards in and force them to be used, but it is in our mind that should we encounter something, we can use cards to do it. They're an option. Yeah, using D6. Numbers small enough to do math in head is checked across the board. Numbers big enough to balance seems to be good.
Yeah, there was some contention around the HP pools, but other than that, we have enough room.
Yeah, the negative HP pool system, I think, fixed a lot of our concerns.
And being able to, say, oh, can this or can this not one shot was a great balancing sort of measure.
Yeah,
for the combat as well.
If you are starting to work on stuff like that yourself, I strongly recommend going and watching those videos if you have not, because it does deal very well with min-maxing your values and how to look at your extremes in order to make sure things are going to flow on the worst case and best case scenarios. The middle area is all playtesting. No amount of math can do the middle for you without playtesting it.
I mean, it can help. You can look at the probabilities for things, but it's never going to actually do the job for you.
Yeah. No adding, subtracting negative values. We have kept out of that. There's no negative values involved. Everything is positives. No negative THACO, or no negative ACs with mid-range THACOs to confuse the shit out of people.
What a system.
Balances for babies in a non-PvP game. Yeah, we kept that in mind. Though we still got some balance. You need some balance, but everything does not need to be perfectly balanced when it's not PvP. Character abilities are done.
We have feats and skills. Rough out for both of them. So done. Leveling and progression. we talked about, and I don't think we came to conclusions on.
Yeah, we did. That's the buy system. It uses the exact same system as building your character. You gain XP as you go,
and we
use the
did come
XP.
to a conclusion on how many points it was going to take to buy a point.
Yeah. That will change, but it's done. Movement. Did we talk about movement?
We talked about it. I don't remember what we concluded with.
Initiative. One movement action. Movement action does what it says on the tin. Oh, how far can you move in a turn? 0 strength plus 0 perception equals 20 feet per 5 second. 30 feet per 5 second. 5 strength plus 5 per 40 feet per 5 second. Speed equals 20 feet plus 2 feet times strength plus perception. Okay.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
It's not the simplest math, but it's not math you have to do every time. You get your stats, you write down your movement, and then you just look at it. Turn is 5 seconds. Size and limbs contacting the ground. Gear/armor. We didn't introduce anything for gear/armor affecting move yet. Does not affect movement yet. Might not. See how it plays. Affect. And sprinting 2 times speed for fortitude rounds.
Which I still think is an interesting idea. Because you just pay your attack action to get your 2 times speed. Then you can do it for fortitude rounds before needing to take a break.
Yeah. Simple, straightforward. Done. Combat. Done. We just looked at it all.
Really happy with how combat came together.
Yeah. Let's just take a quick look at how you hit something. All right, it's an opposed
Really, how
roll.
much?
Opposed roll,
Really?
and the damage is the difference.
Or the
Realizing
delta.
how much my memory sucks. Like trying to remember. I'm like, ah. Comes back to me very slowly.
That's why we write things down.
Write them down. See, my problem is I write things down, but I don't remember where I wrote them down or if I wrote them down. And then I open up folders that have like 5 documents of the same thing I've written down because I keep forgetting I've written them down. And I'm like, I need to name my things better.
We've definitely ended up with pieces here and there in other documents that we had to cut out and post into the right one, but it's really just all these documents are in the same folder. And because we're doing it show by show with a focus on each show, it really helped keep the documents in line. Didn't do a perfect job, but it helped.
But it helped.
Creating enemies.
We haven't looked at.
Have not looked at yet, yeah.
We did character creation, and for NPCs you could follow that same model, but for non-human enemies we need to do some work on.
It needs a simplified flow for generating enemies. They need some of the stuff of a PC, but not all of the stuff. Like, Goblin A doesn't need feats and skills and stuff like that. Just enough base stats that you can determine an attack roll and some hit points. That's really about it. Have not looked at. Should be simplified implementation of PC. Yeah. Loot. Add plus to skill equals more dice for skill. So we haven't actually done gear, have we? We have items without context. Ammo, armor, tracked by full suit, throwing consumables, weapons, armor. We just generated some names. We were talking... How was armor working? I remember we had a system for armor.
Yes. So we have physical armor and we have magic armor. The magic armor is achieved by either engraving or inscribing onto normal armor. or clothing. They come in full sets, so you don't have to manage, what shirt you're wearing and what coat you're wearing and what cape you're wearing and which color of pants you got.
It'll be a D&D system on that stuff where a cape won't affect your armor, but it might have some other magical implementation, or a helm isn't going to do any armor wise, but it might increase your intelligence or something like that.
Yeah, it may have an inscription or a engraving on it.
Yeah, right. We have our own crafting system for all that. I forgot about that. That's a cool system.
Yeah, that system came together really well. I was very impressed with how it came together.
And armor is reducing the damage you take by a flat value.
Yes.
So heavy armor
Applied
might be
to the
3 to
delta.
5. Yeah. And magic is increasing the difficulty to cast spells on that person.
Yes.
High armor values are about 8. That would be like a super armor. And
that would be your in-game tank and armor will reduce damage taken by 8.
Yeah, and magic will just make it that much harder to cast magic on you, but it bites both ways. It's all magic, so healing magic as well would be more difficult.
You got to get naked if you want heals.
Or just not have any magical protection. Not necessarily naked, full naked. Don't do that. Although
just hanging out.
Although I have gotten out of a few crappy situations in Shadowrun by people dropping their pants and charging at the group.
It's very intimidating.
It is. I mean, the character before Zug, his partner did that when we were drunk and a bunch of gangers tried to jump us, and they just thought we were a bunch of insane fucks and didn't want anything to do with us. They backed off.
No one wants to fight the naked guy.
When Zug did it, he was exceptionally well hung for a troll, and it was an intimidation factor. He would often jump into the wrestling arena naked. Yeah.
Oh god,
plus 2 to blunt.
So Luke can add to skill affix/prefix. So we haven't talked or developed anything for there, but we can easily create an affix prefix Diablo 2 type system.
So what I was thinking with the affix and prefix is that they would be influenced by engraving or inscribing.
Yeah.
Like
I see it as being engraving/inscribing presets.
Yeah,
basically.
essentially.
Yeah. And then if the player wants to go crazy and super specialized, then they can get into engraving and inscribing and customizing gear and crafting and really do whatever they want from that aspect, which was one of the things I loved about Shadowrun. I was an engineer and I built my own vehicles and got to design all the vehicle bits, and it was really cool because I had a great GM. FX scale based on weapon quality.
We haven't talked about that.
There's no weapon quality yet. I'm just going to stick a maybe on it. It's not needed at this point for playtesting. It's beyond where we are in our development cycle.
Well, and we do have the concept of plus weapons as well. So
I guess that could be quality, couldn't it? Yeah. Look at it quality-wise rather than magic-wise on the plus.
Yeah.
ID difficulty from weapon quality is no ID system yet. Maybe later for flavor. Weapon rarity 1 to 5. Done. +1 through +5. Skill 1 to 5 needed to ID. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. So we don't have the identifying and finding unidentified. Ooh, excuse me. Pizza pop burp. No unidentified finding and all that aspect yet. It is fun to find things you don't know what they are and figure out what they are, but once we have everything else flushed out, that'll be an easy tack on. It doesn't rely on other systems so much. It's its own system that sits on top of things.
Yeah.
Influencing roles, yes, stats do. Stat modification is a thing. Dislikes, limiting options, and removing agency. I don't think we've removed agency anywhere. We've only given the player choices and options the whole time.
Yeah, we kept that in mind when we were talking about stats, and I think it came out pretty well.
And no maintenance system. Oh, right. That's our general overview. So let's dig into skills first, which is our most recent one. Goals, we removed the D20 system. We have a multi-D6 system. We have less likely to fail. Delta 10 or greater equals double your delta. What?
Yeah, that was our attempt at making a crit system.
No crits. You don't need crits. You get a crit just by rolling well at this point. That's still where we're at?
I mean, the double delta is more of a win harder button, so it doesn't really make a difference to be in there. Because like if you're already deltaing by 10, then you're already dealing, what did we end up with, a 20-point pool or a 30-point pool?
20 and negative 10.
So if you're deltaing by 10, then you're already taking more than half of the enemy's health before bonuses. So
Yeah. At that point, you would just instant kill them. Or instant knock them out, depending on where they are.
yeah.
And if you're under 10 and you get hit by that crit, then there's no unconscious time.
You're just straight dead.
And that's not fun. That's not fun for anyone. Opposed rolls and delta target number total. Difficulty of opposed roll is the skill level needed to accomplish said skill. Yeah. Everything's an opposed roll. Even a normal task rolls exactly the same way as an attack, and you're attacking the task, basically. The task rolls back with its difficulty to determine how much work you've done. So every roll is the same.
Yeah, we had some back and forth on that one, thinking about having fixed numbers for tasks, but I think it's cleaner to just have everything be an opposed roll.
Yeah. You don't have to remember extra rules, and we'll see it when we play it, if it plays well or not, but I think it's going to play fine, the way it rolls in my head.
Yeah, especially because the player is going to have stat and skill buffs, and the task won't.
Yeah.
So.
Skill flow. Determine difficulty of task. So the task's level that it rolls at is how hard, like the minimum level you would need to attempt the task, basically.
Yeah.
And you can attempt it from a lower skill level, but you're very unlikely to get it. It's
but you can get lucky.
Task. Yeah, you can get lucky. Initiator rolls, skill level. Position rolls difficulty plus 1d6, right? Because 0 is 1d6.
Yep.
Both sides keep smallest pool rolled, right? So if you're over-skilled, then you get to keep the best dice of your pool and get the same amount as them. If you're under-skilled, it gets to roll more dice, but only keeps as many as you rolled. It's just more likely to get a good roll. Hey, board! So you can still win, but you're less likely to win, and it all works. I don't see an issue there, do you?
Nope, because that's the same process that we're using for combat, so it just kind of flows nicely with the player training. Player conditioning, sorry.
Skill structure, this is a stat layout, but then this is where we were talking about how a skill can have multiple stats that it could rely on. The first one is the main one. Primary stat is used to determine purchasing and advancing. Stat order is important in the below table. The primary stat is first, alternate stats are after. Alternate stats roll at disadvantage, but can be used. What is a disadvantage?
We talked about a disadvantage system at some point. I don't know what we did with it, but we were like, we should totally have a disadvantage system and an advantage system.
I
I'm
do
assuming
kind of
probably
remember that.
the opposite of the advantage.
What's an advantage?
I think it was roll twice, pick one, pick the highest.
We did write it down somewhere. I just don't remember where.
Probably combat. Oh. I don't think we did. I don't think we ever agreed on what the advantage and disadvantage would be. Yeah.
Maybe we just don't need it.
Oh, advantage adds a die to the die pool. Disadvantage gives advantage to opposed roll.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah. It's just an extra die in the pool that you roll, which means you have an extra die to try to get a higher value. You don't have more at the end, but you have a better chance of getting higher within the pool of kept dice.
Yeah. Keeps your average roll up, which is exactly what advantage would do. It would make you more likely to do the thing.
Yep. So if you were rolling wisdom for your interrogation, the other person would get an extra die in their pool, but at least you're not rolling from no skill. That works out really well, actually, on the percentages. Huh. Almost like we're intelligent or something. That can't be right. Conversation skill rules.
But between the three of us, we do have a couple of brain cells to rub together.
Apparently not that many.
At least have one neuron to contribute.
By the power of 3, we have 3 neurons. Crud's conversation skills. I love the Crud system. Except it's struct. But, you know, whatever.
Cruds comes off the tongue easier.
It does. Sense, you can use the skill. Read, how susceptible will the target be to my skill / is the target using the skill on me. Update, you can begin to demand specific information. Create, you can apply your influence to crowds rather than just individuals. Destroy, you can influence actions in others, destroying their will. Information skills, you can do the thing that already exists. Ability to determine if the thing will be effective. Update, you can combine skills with others. That with other people. Meaning you can work in a team at that point. You don't have to just sit there by yourself. Thinking, we were using software development at the time. Once you learn the basics of it, you can sit there and write an application. But if you try to write an application in a team, you're going to become super lost, super fast. Trust me.
Software is complicated, yo.
Create. You can do things that do not yet exist. That's where the player can start to get really creative with some stuff. And destroy, you can combine skills with others and give them a plus. I don't know how to destroy.
Unsure about that one.
Yeah, we'll have to do it more.
It just kind of makes sense as a +5, but it doesn't really fit with destroy.
It doesn't. But that's okay. It's all about how it plays. This isn't what's going to be in the guide for like players at the end. Crud's system was our design tool to help us figure out what 5 levels would be comparably the same. Physical skills, you can do the basic thing. Ability to gauge the task delta before attempting it. So like rollerblading. The first thing that comes to my mind for physical skills, because I did a lot of it. Level 1, you can rollerblade just fine. 2, you can figure out how hard something's going to be before doing it. Like, can I really jump over that gap? At 1, you can just try to jump over the gap and see if you make it.
This is the Dunning-Kruger curve in action.
3, ability to use the skill in combat, so you're good enough with it that you can actually use it effectively. 4, use as a bonus action, so you don't even need to use it as your primary action in combat anymore, which opens up all sorts of fun, interesting ideas. And 5, idea, reduce maximum difficulty rating of skills, goal, allow for super... Oh, we don't have any... We didn't finish this. We didn't come back to it. There was a lot of arguing at the end of a session, and then we forgot about it.
Yeah, Pseudo and I were both basically like, we want anime! And you were like, but anime's not realistic. And I was like, but I want anime!
It wasn't so much that anime isn't realistic. It was more that anime just breaks everything in the game.
Sounds like a GM problem.
Oh shit, I forgot my water. Oh well. Current try, reduce CR by half. Round up. So we'll just have to see what happens when we get there. Somebody is going to make a physical character with 5 stat in some sort of physical skill, and we're going to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll make something and just have it abuse that skill as much as possible.
Yep, that's how we figure out the edge cases. To deal with edge case of max CR being 5, due to CR of skill being based on skill, it would take do it, and max skill being 5. I don't think that's a problem. Don't think this is actually a problem.
It is if we're reducing the CR, because then you're rolling a 6+ dice pool and keeping 3, so you're going to be getting 6s a lot.
Which is kind of the point of being that strong, right? Get really reliable values. That's why I'm saying I'm not saying it isn't a problem, I'm just saying I don't actually think it's a problem.
Yeah, we'll see.
Magic skills. Spell storage. Consume magic. Level determines creation. Consumable magic. Right. That was...
Inscription.
Spell obfuscation. Increases work needed to cast and detect. Magic armor. Flash casting. Pre-done work that can be applied to spells based on skill level. It's basically inscription. That inscription is that system.
It's kind of inscription or engraving, but it's also... Well, no, it is engraving. You're right. It's straight up engraving.
It's straight up inscription. Engraving would be crafting. Like physical items with an ability on them permanently.
No, inscription is the one that you don't need magic to use. So it's like spell storage. You just have an item that has a spell on it, and you can use it up.
Yeah, and it's consumable.
Flash casting is more like engraving, because you've already pre-done the work for that spell, and you need to have just a little bit of magic that you can apply to it to trigger that spell.
My take on flash casting would be that once you cast it, it's gone, though.
It doesn't say consumable.
Doesn't, but neither does spell storage.
Yes, it does. It says consumable, literally the first word.
Okay.
Reading comprehension is hard.
I even read it and just didn't.
Just the brain just filtered it out.
Yeah, flash casting to me sounds like after it's used, it's gone still in my mind. Like you've prepared this spell so you can use it in a pinch, but it's just a cast of a spell, which would still be inscription, because artificer work, enchant and attune, is engraving. Definitely.
Yeah.
Size casting. We don't have a determining factor for the area of a spell yet.
We just have difficulty, which you would scale up with the size of the area that you want to affect. amount of work needed.
On GM's discretion. Yeah. Yeah, and as long as the GM's properly scaling up the work, I would like to have a basic system at least for them to fall back on.
For sure. We should definitely put in a framework, but I think the systems that we have can account for it.
Needs a framework
and same
later.
with range.
Yeah. See below. Okay, so there's a couple nitty-gritty details of casting that I think we need to start playing with in order to figure out what we want to do. We have too many systems to just tack more onto it. I don't think items without context needs much. HP bigger, HP, MP bigger, MP, ammo, armor, weapons, throwing consumables, transactional currency. And some examples. Health potion, chicken teriyaki, focus in, Ritalin, Adderall, anything to sharpen the mind, candy eel, ether, mana pots, essential oils. Yeah, jars, rocks, knives, stars, frozen poop, pointed stick, garden gnomes.
We had fun with this one. Chat was good for this.
It was. And then transactional currencies is just, yeah, all sorts of stuff you can do for a setting. This is all setting specific fun stuff. That all checks out. Magic system. Had magic skills to skill system?
We did add that short list of magic skills, like things that you would want to be able to do by ranking up in that school of magic.
Which is what we were just looking at. Okay. Most of it was taken out due to the inscription system, the engraving system, and magic armor. But range casting and size casting... You know what? I'm going to remove the inscription from this one because I really see it as I've cast this spell ahead of time. It's in my mind and ready to go. I've done the work. I just need to trigger it.
Basically just hit the go button.
Yep. So I'm going to leave... I think these three can become skills eventually.
So magic armor, what we've got tagged as magic armors for spell obfuscation, I think is useful even if you're not wearing magic armor. And I think it should be one of the lower ranks of magical skills.
Well, if it's a skill, it's not like magic skill and there's 5 ranks that gives you different abilities. I see this as different skills you can put skill points into.
Right, but then we need 5 ranks of each of them.
Yep.
Because that's how all of our other skills work.
Yep. I'm aware. And flash casting, so like as an example for flash casting, the different ranks would be different amounts of work you can have pre-done as you enter a fight, basically.
Or maybe a spell level.
That's what I mean.
You can store.
You have to fit the whole spell in to have it ready. You can't just do part of it, and then higher skill ranks would be more work that can have pre-readied. So a bigger spell basically can fit, or multiple smaller spells. Which all of a sudden becomes so good that you almost don't ever not take it.
Yeah.
How I see this is give them they're 5 levels, the 3 of them, and your rank in each one of these is your rank in that area of magic. It just becomes a guideline for casting spells at that point.
What?
So
say that again?
your flash casting ability, your range casting ability, and your size casting ability for that sphere of spell is equal to your rank in that sphere. I guess the skills could just work like a stat, or the magic sphere could work as a stat where the skills are under it, so you'd have to put more points into it to choose which ones you want. And then its max level would be the max level of your sphere that it's under.
In a vacuum, I like the idea. In our system, I don't think it quite fits. It works very differently than everything else.
I see it working very much like other skills. It's just instead of being tied to a stat, it's tied to a magical sphere, which is kind of like a magic stat.
Which is already a skill, which is tied to a stat.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
And like, if you learn to flash cast, you should be able to apply that technique to any school of magic.
That's fair.
I just think if they are individual skills, then like the balancing of the ranks of the skills is going to be really hard, I think, because flashcast, that's fucking powerful.
Yeah, you're almost never going to not want that.
AoE. But I mean, it is limited to 5 points worth of spell.
Yeah.
So
I see it as being a lowest common denominator application, so you can only have it as high as your highest spell level.
I would say maybe tie it to influence.
I like tying it to the sphere level in my mind just because of how magic, like because if you tie those most essential ones to influence, then you're really funneling them towards that stat rather than building the stat that is relevant to their magic.
I know, but we need something that's independent. Like we already have this concept of tying a school of magic to a stat.
What if the skills are based on, rather than a specific stat, just your highest mental stat?
What if we use the skill secondary system? So you can get ranks up to the number that you have in whatever we choose to base it off of, but you can cast it with other things that are more powerful up to that number of ranks.
At disadvantage if you're not using the primary one.
Yeah. So like influence could be AoE and range, and resolve could be flashcast.
Well, if we can come up with a fourth one, we can tie each one to one skill, and then they all have their own individual one.
Okay, well, let's look at that list again and see if there's anything else that we can keep in.
I'm going to copy this, go back to here. I'm just going to paste it at the bottom so we can see it at the same time. So I'd say flash casting would be knowledge.
Sure.
Because it's, having that readied in your mind. It's an intelligence kind of thing.
Resolve AoE, range, influence.
Wisdom and matter.
The one that we've already got in our list of magic skills that I think has the most value is obfuscation, and it kind of fits with wisdom because you know enough about the magic to be able to hide it from others who also know about the magic.
I had already written it when you started talking about it too. We were definitely of the same mindset there.
Pseudo, any objections?
Nope.
And also it works out that senses and thoughts, like a mind mage, gets farther range, so you can read minds farther, or you can see farther and do a lot of visual trickery and stuff that way, so it plays really well with the style. Life and healing is what focuses on AoE. So destruction AoE isn't going to be as easy, which helps balance, and healing your whole party is going to become better and better. I think that plays well. Matter is obfuscation, which doesn't necessarily work well logically, but I think plays well, and definitely plays with wisdom well. And knowledge being flash casting is force and energy, projectiles, attack magic is your instant stuff, little beams of light and stuff like that, which just, I think works really well.
I'm happy with that.
So let's nuke this. Well, let's nuke this and this.
And these will need to go into the chart up above.
Hey. Hey. Jerks. Luckily, it's easily fixed. There we go. Fixed. Okay. And I hate that. Thanks, I hate it. Okay. Perfect. And we can just add to... Oh, right click? Right click. Insert row below. Low. Insert row below. Insert row below. I kind of like the way that rolls off the tongue. Row below.
Row below.
Row below. Spell
Row below.
obfuscation. Flash casting. AoE casting and range casting. Wasn't obfuscation matter? Yeah, I didn't do them in the right order. That's gonna bug me. There we go. That's energy. Oops. Not energy. Energy is knowledge.
The magic school. Knowledge, wisdom, resolve, influence. And then all others are secondaries.
Done, done, done. You to store precast spells before combat in your mind equal to skill
With cost equal to skill rank +1. Or no, just equal to skill rank, because you need 1 rank in it in order to have any storage.
But work is probably going to get more bloated than that, so we'll probably need a multiplier or a modifier in here once we
That's
actually
why
get into it.
Did I not say cost? I meant to say cost, because we do have the mana system in the game, so you can like flash cast, say at rank 3 mana's worth of spell.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Allows you to store precast spells before combat in your mind equal to mana cost of spell. Equal to 1 mana cost of spell per rank. Do we have an MP system?
We do. And we even have a mana reservation system for doing engraving
Yeah.
and activating spells and keeping them active.
Yeah. You can see the dimple as you talk about this stuff, like, yeah, smiles.
It's actually a really cool system. I really like the engraving and inscription systems.
Yeah, it's based off of D2's Aura system. D2? No.
Diablo in general.
No, but I was,
also PoE. And
Path of Exile is what I was thinking. Is more what I was envisioning when I was creating the system, yeah. Spell Obfuscation. Grants 1 magic armor per rank? Question?
I mean, like, functionally, that's what it does.
Can apply 1 magic armor to a spell cast at the cost of 1 MP per instance of armor. Yeah?
It can apply 1 magic armor per rank to a spell cast.
Yes.
And then I think we did it.
Yeah, so if you have 5, you can spend 5 MP on a spell coming at you to increase your magic armor by 5 for that instance of the spell, so it's much harder for them to hit you with it.
Or you can use it to obfuscate yourself from detection while you're casting something.
Yeah. Which magic armor would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. AoE casting. So how do we want to handle AoE? How do we want to scale AoE? So what's the base range of a spell, do you think? 1 square?
Well, see, this is where it gets tough, because some spells are inherently affecting an area. Like, say you want to turn a square, or 3 squares square into quicksand and sink the enemies into it. Like, that is inherently something that affects an area.
But that area could be 1 square area.
And then for each rank, you would gain another 1 by 1.
Or grow it outwards. So, like, if we use Shining Force as an example, rank 1 is 1 square, rank 2 is 5 squares, rank 3 is 13 squares. It grows it, it increases the radius.
Inspiration from chat. We could use the Fibonacci sequence to set these numbers and have it be 1, 3, 5, 8, 13 for 5 ranks, and have it be 1 by 1, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, 8 by 8, 13 by 13.
Making it a square rather than a diamond?
Yeah, and you can just say up to that. Like, you can cast as large as you want as long as it's within those constraints.
Yeah, you don't have to make it. And then the difficulty will be determined by where you land in the size. There's no half values. As soon as you go over the 4 value, you use the 5 difficulty, even if you don't go all the way up to the 5's maximum size.
Yes.
Increases. Okay, so base casting size 1 square. Follows Fibonacci. Oh, I thought I got it right for a second. 1B. Yeah, damn it. Fibonacci sequence as it raises in rank 1.
So I guess it would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 8.
1 plus 1
'Cause
square. 2.
0 is 1, so 2 is 2.
I'm gonna go plus 1 plus 3.
No, but see, that's
Yeah.
different.
Plus 2.
That's different. And it's not a plus. It is the total area. So at rank 1, you would get 2 by 2. At rank 2, you would get 4 by 4.
Is that right?
Or 3 by 3.
Yeah, there you go.
Brain math, no brainy.
Yeah. Okay. So 0, 1 we cut. 0, 1, 1 we cut out. That's all rank 1. 2 by 2, 3 by 3 squares. 3 by 3. 5 by 5. 8 by 8. I like that power curve. Oh, that
And
gets
then
huge.
rank 5 would be 13 by 13, which is enormous.
Yeah. Costs 1 MP per rank.
Yeah.
Whoa, 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 whoa! And then increases casting range. We'll use the same value, same Fibonacci values for the range.
I don't think that actually works.
Not far enough.
Because if we're starting at 1, then everything is a touch at rank 1.
Well, I was going to go more like 10 meter base.
Yeah, if we multiply it out by 10,
Yeah, and
10
then
squares.
1 is 20 meter. 2 is 30 meter. 3 is 50 meter. 4 is 80 meter. 5 is 130 meter.
Yay, Fibonacci sequence. Squequence.
Yeah, the squequence. 1 MP. 1 MP cost per rank. There we go. Fingers don't fail me now. That works pretty well. You can choose how you want to spend your MP to modify your spell. Do we even need... It's modifying. So there really is no advantage, is there? How does the advantage work with using the right sphere versus the wrong sphere?
Fuck them. Half it. But no, realistically, I think if we remove the bit about disadvantage, it doesn't actually hurt the skills at all, because you still need to have your primary up to the level where you can... Well, shit, no, okay. So...
Without the advantage disadvantage applied, it becomes all of them are just whatever your highest mental stat is how many ranks you can have in it.
But you still need the primary to level it. Primary controls progression.
At which point, there's no point in having the other one because you're not actually rolling, you're modifying a spell.
Mm-hmm.
So it might as well just be influence and just be resolve. Which I'm kind of okay with.
I think it makes them too strong. I like it. I think it'd be really fun to play. I think it makes it too strong.
Well, it makes it worth putting a assortment of points in and not focusing just on the one mental stat. It makes it worth having a couple points of knowledge, a couple points of wisdom, a couple points of influence, a couple points of resolve. It makes Magic far more skill or experience investment heavy, but that is one of the things we wanted it to be, to help balance the absurd strength of it. And like you really like for range.
Can you scroll up to our definition for a sec of how we wanted the skills to work? A little too far, just at the top of the table there, I think. Yeah, so stat order is important in the below table. Primary stat is first, alternate stats are after. Alternate stats roll at disadvantage. Primary stat is used to determine purchase and advancing. So essentially progression.
How do the stats influence the skills?
The way that it currently works is, say you have interrogate there.
Yeah. Okay, your interrogation can only be as high as your influence, but you can roll a wisdom-sized dice pool, even though you only get to keep influence number dice.
Yeah.
And then you get an advantage or disadvantage. Or a disadvantage if you're using the wrong one. So your opponent gets an extra die. So it's really only if wisdom is too higher to make it worth.
Yeah, for it to be worth using your alternate, you need to have 2 more ranks in the alternate.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you had, say, 1 rank in resolve and you needed to be able to hit 2 side-by-side targets, you could AoE cast with whatever you want and get a bigger pool, but you only get to keep 2, and you... Oh, well, no, this isn't a roll, so you would just... Shit.
What if the others are just -1 to rank? Represent the disadvantage of it. So if you got up to 5 knowledge, you could flash cast 5 MP worth of spells, but you could only block 4 MP on the obfuscation. I think it's becoming too powerful then. You get too much out of it. I really think we should playtest just knowledge, wisdom, resolve, and influence affecting them. Base casting range is 10 squares then. 1 meter by 1 meter is our base. So all spells instantly get that 10 meter base, and if you want to go farther, you need to put some points into your influence. All spells are single targeted until you go for AoE casting, and then you can make things bigger and beefier.
And if we don't have the alternate stats, then it gets rid of the extra considerations that we're having to make for alternates.
Yep.
Let's play test it. Because you reminded us that the intent is for Magic to cost more XP. it just does.
Yep, that's the point. You can be a much more effective fighter than a mage for the same cost, but once the points are spent, you don't fuck with the mage. Just don't do it. Don't fuck with the high level mages. Low level, you can push them around. High level, And that's very similar to the power curves you see in other pen and paper games. You know, a level 1
just
fighter
any-
annihilates a level 1 mage, and a level 20 mage annihilates a level 20 fighter.
Yeah, and in basically any game follows that archetype, and it does make sense.
Yep.
Cool. So we tackled magic skills.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I like how well the Fibonacci sequence worked for these values.
Got a 1.6. Good old golden ratio.
Yep. We did items without context. Magic system. Okay. To do, add magic skills to skill system. Done! No, everyone does not use. No, magic is not a class. Can be learned after. No.
Done.
Distance is a skill. Based on the skill. Yes. Sight is...
What about a blind mage?
You gave me the stank face with that thought.
Because, like, they would have to have probably life and or matter at read. But they would then be able to read the entire environment around them.
No, but
I
you
don't-
must be able to sense them? Question mark?
I think you should be able to blind fire as well.
Cast magic missile the darkness. Everything is the
Magic
darkness.
Missile the darkness. I mean, everything is the darkness at that point. You're correct. I do love the
I
idea
think
of
line
a-
of sight is wrong for our magic system.
But you have to... I don't know.
If it's within range and the area of effect is big enough, you should be able to just lob a magic grenade over a wall.
But, I mean, you can still see where you're launching the grenade. You can't see where it's going to land.
I mean,
you
it's
can still
distance-wise.
see the arc in your mind. Like, you know, there is a line of sight to that arc.
I mean,
And if you wanted-
you're kind of stretching. Line of sight is generally defined as to where your target is.
Yeah, I mean, like, in the example of dropping a boulder on something, you don't necessarily need to see where the boulder's going to land, but you need to be able to see where you're going to create the boulder for it to fall. Is
Which
my
can
interpretation of it.
Which, if you can create matter, you can also read the matter in the area and know where it is based on that. I don't think we need line of sight.
But then do we need a stipulation that you need to read the area first?
Well, you just can. That would be part of activating your magic up to that level, is you would get your...
Well, no, one casting of it would be to read the area, and that would be a low-level casting of it, but a high-level casting would be to create it. So you would need to read it first and get a lay of the area, and then create.
With one main action per turn, I don't like it. Oh, do I though?
You could always, if that was your plan, you could have like a flash cast, where it's like an instantaneous thing, which would basically be a bonus action to read.
So you would, or well, no, more usefully, rather than using up a flash cast on that, use up your flash cast on the create, and then just use your normal action to read the area around you within your sphere of influence, because it's a much lower level cast. You're going to be able to complete it like that. There's no work that needs to go into it. Then you flash cast boulder creation, and it just falls on their head.
And if they're farther away, then you spend more MP on your main action of reading the area so that you can read 20, 30 50, 80, or 130 meters around you. Which would allow you to read something, 100 meters away and then create a boulder on top of it.
And so how do we codify that? Because now I'm sold on it. How do we write that so that it's easily interpretable? Spells must be cast at a known location,
but must be cast at a known target. Not necessarily location, but target.
Yeah, because a target can be a character or a location.
Yep.
So you have to know the shape of your environment in order to place a spell exactly where you want it to be, which means that you're going to need wisdom to be able to read the area around you, and then whatever you actually want to cast, plus the skills to add range or AoE to it.
Well, I mean, if all you have is life, you can read where the life is around you and cast it at that life target, living target. Doesn't matter what else is there. You could just influence that living target.
But mage armor is effectively a nerf to that. So I think that makes it so that instant death attacks become less powerful. Because you would be harder to identify and you would be harder to just kill.
Well, it's wisdom that gives you the armor skill, or wearing armor.
Yeah, but if you're wearing magic armor 8, then they suddenly need to delta you by more than 8 to even figure out where you are.
Yeah. The armor does help obfuscate you from directed magic attacks, unseen, like through walls and whatnot, but line of sight, they don't need to read you first. It takes away a lot of the magic cost if you can see them. I like that. The option is there, but it's difficult. And I do want to make a Phys-Adept expansion eventually. There would be your blind.
We're
that would be my
more
blind
touch
mage.
We're gonna need more work in it for my mage killer, I think. Between Phys-Adept and your blind mage idea.
Your blind mage idea.
Well, my blind mage idea. It sounds like you actually have plans to make one.
Honestly, my Phys-Adept didn't start blind, but being able to make him blind, like the stereotypical blind samurai, is kind of cool.
And then, oh god, can you imagine him fighting my anti-mage? Oh, it'd be a hell of a fight. You'd need to be paying attention to where dust is moving on the floor.
What would be the best part is if they both thought they won.
Both of them simultaneously. I think I got him, and they both hear it. Fuck.
No, my mage killer would go and blast him in the chest short range with his shotgun, but the Phys-Adept would have retreated to the astral plane and
work at 4 times spell level, 4 times spell level,
4 times
doesn't
spell
work.
cost.
MP cost. That's exactly what I was going to. Because with all the modifiers, they modify MP cost, so we can base everything off of the MP cost for work needed, and everything just kind of figures itself out. And that means that when you want to detect something really far away, it might take you multiple turns to get that reading of 130 meters. Pretty expensive spell. Takes a lot of work, and it makes a lot of sense. A long cast divination type idea.
And then you've got tools and inscriptions and engravings that can help you with that.
Spell cost equals 1 MP per sphere level needed plus skill modifiers. Yeah. This is all still fine. How they combine together, creating a boulder in the air to drop on someone, straight matter, healing a wound, straight life, creating a rock and propelling it at somebody, matter and energy. That's the take down a wall rather than add a boulder to the wall.
It's an important distinction.
Killing a person, life. Yeah, lots of life magic. It takes a while to cast. You'll see them casting it. Ideally, understand that they're about to try to kill somebody with a big cast and hit them so that they're interrupted.
And if you're magically awakened, you can sense that somebody is casting it as long as you have 1 point into the life school.
Yeah, to sense life. Because the magic of a sphere will be a mass of that sphere. Hey, Jaggernaut! Thank you so much. Welcome back to the table. I'm sorry I haven't been streaming much, but I think I'm close to back. I think. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that too enthusiastically because then it's going to bite me in the butt. 5 levels of magic, sense read, update, create, destroy. Yes. Yeah. We're at 4 times for now. 1/2 unreserved MP per hour of meditation. Truncated. Cannot rest and meditate at the same time. So you either recover health or MP.
Yeah.
So mages are pretty hampered and pretty held back and pretty restrained, but can do literally anything.
And if they have enough funds to be able to restore their MP in combat, then
they
can just go
terrifying. Nuts. Yeah. Popping riddle in every round.
Mages just tweaking in the corner after a combat.
What happened to him? He won a fight.
I just want the beer helmet, but with coffee. Just the bro mage.
The bromancer.
There you go.
Inscription and engraving.
Summons his passed out bros for help. Instead of.
See, when the bros get summoned in, like zombies, they go, but the bros go, bro.
Just super hungover.
Bros.
Oh God, we need to make this.
It's a good meme. Inscription, consumable, one-time use prepared magic, usable by anybody as an item. Engraving, permanent prepared magic. We don't have the skills for inscription and engraving yet. They haven't been created as skills.
Correct. Literally done double coffees in the beer helmet. Oh, you're our hero, Punk.
Welcome, Punk. That is the comment of the day. You have won, sir. You win the internets today. Yeah.
So I think inscription and engraving should be skills that are not necessarily tied to a stat, but you can only inscribe or engrave up to whatever you can cast. So
exactly what I was talking about with my initial idea for the magic system, but with the inscription and engraving.
Yeah.
Inscription, highest mental stat. Engraving, highest mental stat. Ability to create spells as consumables.
I think we
Max
have another
MP cost
skill
of
that isn't tied to a stat now that I think about it.
We do not. Everything ended up working out when we got the advantage system figured out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Max MP cost of spell inscribed equals Inscription skill level. So 5 becomes the highest you can store, which is fair for instant cast. That's strong still. If you're
That's
mixing
strong
them
as fuck.
if you're mixing them together, but then if you wanted to store extra range or AoE casting and stuff like that on it.
One other thing that we discussed was perhaps having inscription be capped at spell level of 3. So you can't create and you can't destroy with an inscribed spell.
Max fear level of 3.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I don't think we actually wrote down any conclusion that we came to on that, but I think having an item that can just cast destroy instantaneously is way too strong.
We can also look at the cost to create them being a balancing factor, because you'll need to get the materials in order to do it, and if the materials become exponentially more expensive, then creating that, if it was 1 million currency to create that level 5 spell, then it's not like they're going to be creating a lot of level 5 consumables, and once you've used it once, it's gone and all that money is just poof. Then you might think twice about spending that much money on that one-time use spell, and it does become a nice balancer, but it's something we can look at for sure. We'll leave it at 3 for now, and if we decide it's kind of boring, then we can increase it. But since you don't need to be magical to do it,
I just had an amazing idea. Sand that has create on it that creates
sand.
What's that? No. It creates
Makes
that
more sand.
Oh fuck! It's not. Is it insulation? That spray insulation that puffs up super fast and
spray
completely fills its container.
Insulating foam. Yep.
And you just, and then it goes, and now nothing can move.
I would just make the sand make sand that makes sand.
Oh, but the cost would be so high.
But making sand that makes sand is hilarious, because then you just throw a grain of sand at them and it just turns into
It's
fucking
pocket sand to the extreme.
yeah.
Pokemon sand attack.
Walking around with that one bit of sand in your pocket, and you accidentally trigger it, and your pocket starts overflowing with sand everywhere. People are like, "What's going on?" Like, "Oh fuck, turn it off, turn it off." Yeah.
Y'all want to go to the beach?
Too bad you're there. Oh man, sand in your cracks is a horrible thing. They would just be in every crack you could imagine at that point.
It'd just be cracks in your sand at that point.
So yeah, we should probably finish the entry for engraving.
So range you wouldn't need very much of often, unless you wanted to have something that shoots a electrical bolt out and stuff like that. Engraving becomes powerful. Teleport a rock into the boots of all your foes. You're a dick.
Everybody just be really
Just a
uncomfy
small
all the time.
Just makes their socks wet at the same time too. A little bit of water to everyone's shoes.
Oh, the wet sock attack. Oh.
Just make the enemies so mildly uncomfortable they just leave.
Just I want to go home.
I create water in their shoes and sand in their crack.
Oh god.
Everybody's just really uncomfortable now.
The entire monster party turns around and goes home.
Disadvantage on everything.
Inscription and engraving. Yeah. Engraving. Enchantment is N-2 spell level per sphere. Yeah, on both inscription and engraving. That was right there. We did talk about you need at least 3 to do level 1, and 5 can do level 3. Which is totally fair. Proposal 1 hour of meditation per
We came up with a
MP
better
restored
solution than that.
Did we?
Yeah, half of unreserved MP restored per hour of meditation.
Yeah. 1/2 unreserved MP per hour of meditation. Okay, so 2 hours of meditating gets you all your MP back. Fair. And then you can get back to healing. The true war of attrition. It is, isn't it? Isn't it? I mean, turning all of their...
1,000 cuts.
As long as they don't have leather... Well, I guess most fabrics are not artificial fabrics, aren't they? Most of them are organic fabrics.
I mean,
It would be
leather
life.
still does pretty good at repelling water.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. Well, you see, I was thinking of turning their boots into something else. And I was like, you would need matter. I was like, wait, no, you might need life.
Just put fudge everywhere.
Just make everything fudge.
Yeah.
Well,
Just be sticky and awful all the time.
Transport
Oh,
Dale
God.
soda.
I turn their souls into rotten steaks. And get that true wet meat flop sound going on.
Oh, we're playing Halo now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Stat range 0 to 5. Stat effect raw plus to rolls. Yeah. Change all underwear from linen to fiberglass insulation. You would need life and matter.
Just make everything asbestos. The long con. You may win the battle today, but I will. In 30 years, we'll see who's laughing.
Well, I mean, you could even just, with life and matter, instead of targeting their clothes, you could target their lungs themselves and just turn chunks of their lung into asbestos.
Put sand in the lungs.
Oh, God.
Now I want to make a sandbage. Oh, sandwich.
Sandwich. Oh my god.
I am the sandwich.
Oh no.
I'll make that the first villain for you guys to fight in the demo campaign.
Fucking sandwich. You need the TF2 heavy guy. Sandwich.
HP 20, min minus 10. Set total health to playtest. Yeah, we like the set total health. Damage equals weapon damage plus delta. Not using damage codes. What? What is the maximum delta on attack damage? Skill 5 is 30. Yeah, okay. And so the one interesting result is a high strength fighting a low strength is almost always going to get the hit, but isn't going to do insane amounts of damage. It's not necessarily the most realistic, but it does balance quite well.
It's still a 2-shot.
Yeah. Because it got the plus 5.
Because
with the 5
you're
skill.
going to get 10.
Yeah.
You just are.
Yeah, and that's why we ended up going with it. It's a straight, like, when you think about it, it doesn't work out. Hey, Rube, how you doing, buddy? Like, if you think about it in a bubble, it doesn't work out well, but then once the life and everything is applied to it, you don't feel cheated because you're still taking people down in 2 hits. Can turn the air in your lungs into sand. Yeah.
Oh, only if you're sitting still and not wearing magic armor.
God,
Yeah.
I could see the marketing now for magic armor. Keep your lungs clean. Keep your crack free of sand. Get your magic underwear right now.
Forced acid reflux mid-combat. Yeah, just
Throw
like,
up and just teleports it back in.
I call this the Epicac scroll. Watch this. Entire party just like instantly. Yeah, changing potions into sand. Yeah, you can do all sorts of wonderful things with sand. That's the beauty of the magic system, is the memery is limited only to your imagination.
And the worst part is the memes are like actually really effective. You just go all in on a gimmick.
Weapons modify skill rather than damage. Ammo modifies damage on ranged. It's a bit of a unique thing to remember for ranged, but it plays really well, and it's not impossible to remember. Better ammo is a bigger plus, and better weapon gives you more roll. And it actually makes a lot of sense. That's the reason we went for it. It just makes so much sense when applied. Because better gun means more dice to hit your target with, and better bullet means more damage applied when it hits, period.
Yeah.
Full cover cannot be hit. Half cover -5 to delta. Fine to play with. Sample damage calculations that we went through. Large melee weapon wielded by Grandmaster and weapon hitting all one roll. Grandmaster. Yeah, 37. If you're both Grandmasters and you completely fuck up and the other guy completely rolls, you just explode.
Yep.
That
you
makes
get
sense.
Cleft in twain.
It does make sense, because when you're both masters, fights usually end. Fights will go on until somebody makes a mistake, and then they end. It's pretty much how it usually works out, and that's accurate. Min rolls, small melee weapon +5 wielded by a newbie, 2d6 +1 equals 8. Opponent keeps 2 die, 1 rank in defense +1, min roll 3, so they can still deal 5 damage. Which means you're not going to kill things quickly, it's not going to end quickly, but you're both fumbling around with whatever weapon you're holding, so that's fine. And armor caps maximum damage is what we ended up doing, not reduces damage taken.
Yeah.
Which I really like the way it plays.
Because light armor stops you from getting killed in one shot.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop you from...
Getting fucked up.
Yeah, you can still be knocked unconscious. If you have 0 fort. Otherwise, it's 2 shots to get knocked unconscious as long as you're wearing light armor.
I remember seeing it somewhere, but that's okay. But I do like... I don't know why armor's in stats, but it is. It's fine.
Should probably be moved to combat.
Yeah.
Because we talk about magic armor, but we just don't have any.
We did have physical armor in here. This is where I was looking for it. I just did a shift tab and it didn't work. I was like, oh.
It's always a disappointment.
Oh, but these actually want to be tabbed in. Caps maximum damage, yeah. Increases work total needed for spells and a 1 square around the wearer. And with, so you can actually make AoE armor, in theory, with the AoE skill.
Yep. Which would actually be very useful, because you would be able to detect matter on the wearer. And if the wearer has a larger AoE on their magic armor, then you wouldn't be able to tell exactly which square they're in based on, oh, I can't detect any matter here, but I know that there should be, so now I know where my target is.
So we did just implement magic skills right before you got here, Rube. I'll give you a quick review. We finalized it. Flash casting is tied to knowledge, so more points in knowledge allows you to take more ranks.
Scroll down just a little bit. Can't actually see that in the window.
Up a little bit, but yeah. So flash casting is tied to your knowledge stat. The more knowledge you have, the more ranks of flash cast you can take. And flash cast allows you to pre-prepare spells in your mind, 1 MP of cost per level of flash casting. So more knowledge means you can take more flash casting, means you can have more spells pre-prepared. Knowledge is tied to energy. So energy mages can have precast stuff better than most. Spell obfuscation is tied to wisdom, which is tied to matter magic, which can apply magic armor at 1 magic armor per rank to the to an instance of spellcast. So if you know spell is coming at you, you can say, I'm going to spend 3 MP, if you had 3 spell obfuscation, to give you 3 magic armor for that cast against you. You can spend your MP to defend yourself, or spend your MP to create matter. And creating matter is much more defensive than offensive as a whole, even though you can just make matter and drop it on them.
Or create matter inside their heart or brain, or...
The GM might argue that to create it inside of it, you might need life. I could see
you
that
probably
argument.
need some life as well, but,
Yeah.
if you can read life and you can create matter...
Playing a mage is extremely tactical and is limited only by your creativity. Your personal creativity is the only thing that limits your abilities as a mage, which is what I wanted. AoE casting is tied to resolve, which is... I don't remember. Life magic. So the more life magic you have, the more points you can put into your AoE casting spells. So by default, all spells are just 1 square single target. But at rank 1, you can go 2x2 square, rank 2, 3x3 square, rank 3, 5x5 square, so on. Up to rank 5, if you put plus 5 MP, it can be 13x13 squares. So 130 meters by 130, or 13 meter by 13 meter area of cast.
Which is large.
Yeah, it's expensive, but it's a hell of a cast. And then base range is 10 meters. The more points into influence you put, the more points into your range casting you can put to increase how far your spell goes, but it increases the MP cost of the spell to let you stretch out that range. So, plus 10 MP, if you had 10 resolve and 10 influence, you could create a 13 by 13 meter spell 130 meters away, but it's going to use all the MP in the universe. It may be the only spell you cast, and it may take you a half day to cast it, but when it finishes, fuck that house.
And I believe we determine max MP per point spent in magic stats. So every magic stat that you buy, say you buy 3 resolve, 2 influence, that would give you a total of 5 MP.
That's correct. That's how MP works. So you'd need 10 points spent across your 4 knowledge stats just to apply your modifiers, and then enough MP on top of that to cast the spell. So when we're getting into these mass, ridiculous, insane values, they're possible, but they're costly. Like the warrior built with that same MP cost would be able to run up the side of a fucking building and cut your head off while you're doing it. So there's balance. They all get silly. They all get silly. And of course, you're not limited to magic. You can spend more points on the physical side too, because there's no classes, and you can make your character just as physically competent if you get enough experience. Anybody want to drive to North Dakota and make you spaghetti? Too lazy to cook. You see, that's what they make skip the dishes for.
True.
No.
No.
It's dangerous. I have no delivery fee on DoorDash for a year.
Ooh.
And it's been dangerous.
Ooh.
It's just like $12 and it shows up. I'm like, wow.
And Rubido fucking loves our system, which is what we were going for. We fucking love it too. The entire time we've been making it, we're like, this is our system. This is what I want. It's so good.
And then we came up with the inscription and engraving systems, which we're very proud of. So inscription is a one-time use, consumable, precast magic that can be used by anybody. It's just attached to an item. And that gets silly because you can do things like have a piece of sand that creates a piece of sand that creates a piece of sand that creates a piece of sand.
Yes, I love the idea of creating sand that creates sand. That creates sand. Yeah, creating sand that creates sand that creates sand. That
Or you
doesn't
can
sound
have it,
right in
you know,
English, but it is.
create spray foam out of these sand nodules and just throw a handful of sand into a room and pff, it's now full of spray foam.
A little bit of life magic and spray foam spurts from your nipples.
I mean, just saying.
Not your nipples, like the enemy's nipples. Like he's with his armor, and all of a sudden his nipples just start spraying spray foam, and like.
Are you sure it's just not a cow?
Okay, still need magic. We're good. Melee attacks we have. That's all. Ranged attacks we have. We have all the modifiers.
We did deal with counters and parry block dodge.
Yeah, that's all determined by the delta of the attack. So when one person declares to attack and you decide to try to counter their attack and you roll your dice, if their delta is high enough, they hit you. If your delta is high enough, they don't hit you. If your delta is even more higher enough, you hit them with the counter. Well, now you're just talking about a Golgothan. That's called a Golgothan. And they're horrible. You're right. They are horrible. AOOs, attack of opportunities. We don't
do that?
need. We don't. We didn't, and I don't think we need them. Don't think we need them. I think the
Play test required.
we did open end them. They're done. That's done. That's done. So the only thing left is something that we want to playtest without. Skill must relate to what you can and cannot do.
Vroom vroom.
So parry at skill level 1 allows you to add the ability's value to the defense roll. 2 removes all effects from the attack. You know, we're talking magic effects. Flaming sword doesn't burn anything when it gets parried, etc., etc. 3 can be used on any number of attacks, so you can parry multiple attacks. 4, you can move while parrying, like end up in a different spot to give yourself an advantage. And at 5 ranks of parry, if you can delta 5 the attack, you can actually use the parry to injure them.
You can riposte.
Yeah. Same with dodge and block. They all follow the exact same format, and we love it. Done.
Appeal. We just were like, I can't. Nope.
Threaten, intimidate, charm we've got in skills.
Yeah, we were just trying to brainstorm a way to use appeal defensively.
Which doesn't need it. It's
Yeah.
strong enough. It's magic. It's offensive. It's not defensive. That's fine. Things you can do in melee combat: cleave, target, status effects, use non-standard parts of the weapon, which was just brainstorming stuff. Melee attack 1 allows you to add the ability to the attack roll, so you now know how to use the weapon. 2, use non-standard parts of the weapon, so you can flat them if you don't want to kill them and stuff like that. Turn a sword into bludgeoning damage. 3, ability to attack and move at the same time. At the same time.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to move up to somebody then attack. You could be running by somebody and take a swing at them while you're going.
Right. Yes. Do not have to stop moving to attack. That helps. 4, attack multiple targets in a swing. That's our cleave. So as long as they're all there and your weapon keeps going, you keep going. But of course, weapon stops when a hit fails. You may call attacks to specific parts of the body, which becomes super strong.
Literal disarming, maiming, the ability to stop your enemy from running away.
Things you can do in ranged combat, bounce attacks off surfaces, target specific body parts. Yeah, we don't need to keep this here anymore. Yeah, there's 100% a parry system based on the parry skill, and how your parry behaves in combat is based on the delta of your rolls in combat. They try to hit you, you try to parry, and whoever wins the delta does the thing, and then how high the delta is determines to what degree of effect the thing is. So it's one quick roll by both parties of d6, and then the values determine everything else.
It's actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. My favorite thing about this system is it's so different than every other system, yet it is recognizable in each system still. You can't say we copied anything. Nothing like this out there. But similar things out there.
We definitely took influence from quite a few things.
You can't say we copied one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't copy something. We just copied some things.
Simple and fast was the design goal. I did not want to have to sit there and do math for half an hour to figure out what was going to happen in combat. You want combat to flow and be understandable. You know, like if you're having to do complex math in your head, and by complex I mean like THACO math. It doesn't seem that complex, but when you start trying to do it every single round, every single roll, it becomes onerous and it slows the game down. It does. And it's so easy to just make a mistake in the math and then have to be like, oh, wait, that didn't hit. And that, trust me, that has happened more than a few times playing 2.5.
Or 3.5 or 4 or 5.
4 and 5
I mean,
are...
5 got a lot better. It did.
3.5 and 4 even got a lot better than THACO. There's no more subtracting negative numbers and shit like that, which is the bane of all THACO players. Not that it's hard to subtract negative numbers, but it's easy to make a mistake. Shadowrun high value, 10 points of initiative per action. I goes first. So we don't want this here anymore. We've figured it out. Do we want variability / a roll? Variability, no roll, static values only. Strength plus perception for base value, modifiers based on situation. We've did the situations. So physical players are more likely to act first. Makes sense. Do we want to go in reverse order for turns? Yes. Yes, we do. Does that still play out? The opposed rolls and everything?
Not really, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's more of a straightforward turn system now.
I think we just go in order from fastest to slowest.
But we're not going to. Fastest to slowest actions for now. The idea of the fastest person going last is such that all actions resolve at the same time and you define what action you're doing. But you need a different combat system.
Yeah, our system is a little too straightforward for backwards turn orders.
Yeah, the backwards turn order means the fastest person knows what everyone else is doing and can react to it. Which is a cool idea, but it's difficult to implement in a simple way. Constant math calls to work situations of trying to frame a wall on a shitty slab to a constant height. Have to cut every stud different to keep the right height once the wall is under load.
Exactly. And it's just very easy to make a mistake in any single one of those steps, and now the whole thing is screwed.
Do we want multiple actions for high enough values? No, it doesn't work in our system. Do we want a way to delay your action until later? No, the initiative system works in such a way that it doesn't play well.
I think that's still true, even though it was written for the backwards turn order.
The turn order has changed, but this still holds true. We need a tiebreaker.
Yeah, we do.
Oh shit, it's also 6 o'clock. How'd that happen?
Timebreaker. This has turned into a timebreaker.
No wonder my throat's feeling tickly already. Which isn't a good sign.
Tiebreaker. Highest speed,
There is
but
no
that can also
speed.
be a tie. Yeah, there is movement speed. That could also be a tie, though.
Well, you have multiple tiebreakers. So let's see. Initiative is strength plus perception. So which one is more valuable, do you think?
Probably perception or precision.
Strength plus per base. Like that?
Yeah.
Because there's other modifiers for like on guard and everything. So if you roll a tie, but they had the higher strength and precision, then they win. If both you had the same value for strength and precision total, but they have the higher precision, then they win.
If your precisions are the same, but one of you has higher strength, then you would have already won.
No, because there could be other modifiers on it.
True.
And then if all of you have the exact same precision and strength, then it goes to your move speed. And if you're same all the way down, then you just both have to re-roll for that one spot.
Yeah, then you just do a roll on a d6 to see who gets the higher number.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just d6 roll. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Instead of doing a whole re-roll, just d6 it. Okay.
Because there's no roll involved in initiative. So it's just your stats, and then, okay, you're just the same, but we need an order. Roll a d6, see who gets higher.
And these are going to be fairly rare, I'm betting. We'll see how it plays.
The precision score will take care of most of it, I think.
Yeah. Actions are optional and do not need to be used. You get a defense action, a main action, a movement action, and a use ready item.
Which could be a flash cast. It could be a activation of an inscription. It could be use something that's on your belt.
Oh. Flash cast, inscription, potion, etc. Movement does what it says on the tin. Defense action, declare your defensive ability for the round. Main action, anything that needs to be aimed, grenades and projectiles, equipping items, unequipping and putting away items, any spell being cast, targeted or not, melee attacks. What is not covered? Item use is now covered. Passing things to other players. Passing things to other players fits fine there.
As long as it's readied, otherwise you need to use your main action to ready it.
Main action can be any of the other actions as well. So you can use the main action to ready it and then the ready action to pass it.
Or if you are being attacked by multiple targets and you don't have rank 3 to be able to use your defensive ability more than once, you can use your main action to be able to defend yourself twice.
Yep. Why not have the GM roll d6, 1 to 3 is one player, 4 to 6 is the other? We can give agency to the players by letting them roll their own dice and feeling like they have a contribution to the decision. And it's just as quick and easy. I would rather roll a dice for myself than have somebody roll a die for me as a player.
Yeah.
What is not covered by current turns? Talking to other players, just let them talk. Yeah, that's fine. You do not need a free readied slot to pass. Your hand can count as a readied slot. It needs to be readied for you to put it in your hand. And we looked at the movement math. 20 feet per second up to 40 feet per second. 20 feet plus 2 times strength plus... Yeah. Turn is 5 seconds. 40 feet per 5 seconds, yeah. And then this was just for our own thinking to help us figure out how far we move.
And then our armor is all set.
Yep. Yeah, so you can still take damage with armor, but armor caps what the maximum damage you can take from a single hit is. So you don't just get flattened, but you can still get fucked up. We like that.
If you're wearing light armor, even with no points in fortitude, you can only be knocked unconscious in one attack. You cannot be straight up killed.
Yeah. And let's do a quick over, even though we're a little over time. Do we want to cap on a stat that can start? Yes, start them at 3. Don't need to track total XP gained. That came in super useful. Rank times X minus skills plus stat plus magic to the same. To start, X equals 100. No minus. Put that there so it doesn't look like a minus. Rank times X. Skills, stats, and magic. The same to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
I think with the amount that we're going to have to invest in magic, or that a player is going to have to invest in magic, that it works out fine for them to cost the same as a stat or a skill.
Yep. And then we got perks and flaws with our basic perk flaw table. Just as a starting. This is just our initial 1.0 start to the table, and we're pretty happy with it. Yeah, I think... Hey, working bot indeed. Thank you very much for the resub, Zelo. Nice to see ya. I think we're ready for a basic playtest session.
I think so.
Can you think of anything we're missing, Pseudo?
Enemy generation we still haven't done, but...
Okay, so next panel will be basic rules for enemy generation, and the rest of the panel will be character creation.
The sandwiches.
Yeah, we're making sandwiches.
Sandwich. She's actually terrifying.
Next, so next stream we'll be making sandwiches all stream.
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. And then after we've made characters of all sorts of different types and made some basic monsters, we're ready to start playtesting this. That's
exciting.
Wild.
Very exciting.
We've been working on this for almost a year now?
No.
Can't be that long.
It's been a few months, though. It's like 4 months, I think.
Yeah, but we went like several months between work sessions on this a couple of times.
And the streams have gone 2 or 3 weeks at times, but not several months.
Certainly felt like several months. How does time work?
It definitely feels like longer when we're not doing it because it's such a part of our routine now. We miss it. We like this. Yeah, it hasn't taken that long. Like, actual work time is pretty minimal.
Fire spewing sentient Econoline van, the vampire. You could totally do it. You could totally make that a thing.
Please don't.
You could. Probably shouldn't.
Okay. So next time, exciting, we actually start making characters to play as. And that's going to be hype. So don't miss that. And then we're going to be playing, and we may open up a spot or two for other people to jump in for the playtest session.
Perhaps.
So, you know, if you want to be a playtester on this, you're going to have to show some initiative and make your own characters while we're making our characters, and then show up to the session and be like, I have a character, can I play? And then you might get to play. That's how we're going to do it. Yeah. You show me your characters, and if I'm like, this character is too good to not allow into the game, then you're in. That's how I'm going to judge it. I'm going to judge it by the memery of your character.
The rule of cool and or meme.
Yep. And keep in mind, we're trying to test all different areas of the game, so if you see us not touching certain areas with our characters so much, playing with those areas is going to give you a higher chance of getting in.
Yep.
Probably won't participate in that, Katizzi, but you'll for sure have a case of beer to watch for lols. Excellent.
Sounds like a good time, Punk.
Yep, that is absolutely a way to go. Keep an eye on notifications in the Discord for updates on my throat. I'm a little hoarse already here, but maybe not as bad as I have been in the past.
Pony.
So I might be able to start streaming soon, and I might feel up to playing some games tonight. I might not. I'll see how I feel after dinner. I got some soupy noodles with lamb meat in it to devour.
Nom nom.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice lamb shoulder roast from the Greek place. It's all buttery. It's delicious. My mouth just started watering just thinking about it. So, until later, I'm Deus.
I'm Rage.
And I'm Pseudo.
And may all your shots be headshots.